afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Hero Psych, Defender of the Fatherland. We're off here to 1 vs 1 on Arnhem checkpoint between the south. We got here LimaOscarMike fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland, the 78th Sturm Division, versus the north we got Barbarossa fighting here for the Soviet Union, Socialism, the 2nd Mechanized Corps. We're looking at Lightning War, Mobile Defense, Mechanized Assault with Austrian and Infantry bulletins, sort of mostly standard mix except for the Austrian there, versus Barbarossa on the island. He's playing a much more different mix, anti-infantry. So to say I may comment, but NKVD and anti-infantry definitely not common doctrines. Plus we got 3 T-34 bulletins here for him. There's definitely some interesting choices there by Barbarossa, who's by the way a rank 35 Soviet player. LimaOscarMike is ranked 110 with the Wehrmacht. And we got a triple engineers there. I mean, Barbarossa here is clearly not playing by the usual handbook most Soviet players go for. I mean, there's certainly no penal troops in sight, no scout cars, no snipers, just lots of engineers here. LimaOscarMike on the other hand playing a lot more, shall we say, conservatively here with the Wehrmacht. MD42 Grenadiers style, but also for a lot of Wehrmacht players just focuses straight on the centre of the map there, which I generally always find this to be a weaker move. I mean, generally you want your fuel and resources as the Wehrmacht. You know, the centre is nice, but it's not quite as critical. Particularly if you don't have fuel, then it doesn't particularly matter much. So we got engineers quickly budging away there from the MD42 Grenadiers in the centre. We got conscript moving down there, so 3 engineers into conscripts. Conscripts moving towards here. We got engineers standing on the right flank. Might be heading straight for the car point there, which LimaOscarMike is only now approaching. He's securing the centre there, getting the first victory point out. But on the other hand, Barbarossa here will be able to get the fuel ahead of LimaOscarMike. Parnisas engineers, we've got more conscripts on the way there for Barbarossa. With conscripts there standing about. Up north we got more conscripts there riding for the Soviet Union. LimaOscarMike of the 78th Sturm Division, a highly experimental infantry division in many ways. Pushes almost to the more infantry. We got engineers staying about here in the old truck, going for the fuel point there to secure it for the Fasterland. And these are going to the point here. Though enough so far not committing a lot of resources towards defending his eastern fuel point, or at least his attempt to grab it. The 74 remains here, could try and push it further forward, so that way establish a more aggressive positioning versus Barbarossa. But so far it's more just interesting having the MD42 here. We'll have to see how that works out though for LimaOscarMike. Meanwhile, Barbarossa seems to be setting up for an attack on the cutoff point where LimaOscarMike does not have a lot of forces at the moment. He is going for a 3rd Grenadier Squad there. Barbarossa's 2 conscripts there, converging on the point with an Engineer Squad moving in as well here for Barbarossa. Getting a flamethrower just right before he enters into enemy territory. Grenadiers versus conscript needs more support. He should shift the MD42 here into the cafe, or watching the area and deal with it. I mean, this is pretty much where most of his opponent's forces are anyway, so it's not like he needs to sort of guard the rest of the map though right away. We'll have to see how LimaOscarMike reacts so far on this side the cafe, but then has to retreat. The engineers there being engaged with pioneers up close, coming disappointing from inside the cafe. Needs to focus on the engineers and team speaks. But there you go. Barbarossa is showing why he's ranked 35, actually using merge on the conscripts. You rarely see that, you know. But here we are with Barbarossa quickly merging with Orenizio, using his conscripts that way, keeping the engineers able to fight on for quite some time there. Dimitri, you're engineer. Boris, you're engineer. And there you go, wiping the Grenadier Squad here, catching LimaOscarMike off guard, and all the while there's MD42 remains in the church here. I mean, he really should have shifted the MD42 there, and he could have. That could have really just shifted the entire engagement. I mean, generally sort of on the higher rank between the Wehrmacht and, well, any army really, but in particular feel like the Soviets, it really comes down to how you use your machine gun. Like, you really want to, you know, use your machine gun actively. And if you're sort of watching other high rank players of the Wehrmacht, like, you know, Serg, I mean, they tend to be, you know, much more active with the machine guns, shifting them, looking for the right engagement and so on. Whereas so far, LimaOscarMike is guiding the machine gun in the centre, and on smaller maps, this can be a feasible approach. But on a larger map, it tends to be weak, and particularly when it doesn't actually cover your fuel point or any way approach through it. So, I mean, all he's doing is guarding a couple of strategic points and a victory point, but he's losing the rest of the map. And I don't really think that's, you know, really worth this. I mean, this is not worth it at all, yet LimaOscarMike so far is committing to it. The only advantage right now is he's got most of his opponents infrastructure running back towards the base while he's now pushing forward, so he should be able to gain some territory here versus Barbarossa back, but I mean, he's going to be falling back here. Barbarossa quite a bit, who's all now there got, you know, 29 fuel per minute coming in versus his 13. That is a bit rough looking there for LimaOscarMike and the 78th Sturm Division, which was heavily equipped for an infantry division, where most infantry divisions had like 1 light machine gun per squad. The 78th Sturm Division had 2 light machine guns. They also had a lot more heavy mortars, packs, and they were also equipped with a Stu brigade attached to it, which had fully equipped escort infantry for the Sturm with assault rifles. So that was a very elite infantry division, but also, say, you know, very sort of experimental, not exactly common setup. It got crushed during Operation Barbarossa, would later be rebuilt as a Volkskanne division, but was called the Sturm Division. Just had some confusion there. More grenadiers here for LimaOscarMike. Quickly planning here for Tier 3 versus Barbarossa. Can work out, but again, he's moving the MD42. That's good. That is good. Seems to be waking up there that you can't just stick the machine gun there forever, because it's clearly here Barbarossa is a sharper breed of player who doesn't just, you know, play to where his opponent wants to, which is the smart play, of course. He tries to hit him where it's going to hurt the most, and that's going to be the fuel. So really sharp play there by Barbarossa, already taking it, going for support companies. I mean, no penal troopers, no scout cars, no snipers. It's old Barbarossa. We got the flamethrower engineers here in the west. We got all 3 engineers squads now with flamethrowers. He's not worried about mines, and that could be there for LimaOscarMike to throw down versus Barbarossa. That could be mines. So it could actually be a pretty good counter to this kind of stuff here. Meanwhile, though, we got Take Up there, and we got... So they got both there. I actually thought someone was building something out in the field, but there you go. Grenadiers attacking into the conscripts, running up to them, attacking separately, rather than focusing down one of the conscript squads at a time. I feel that's a tactical error there by LimaOscarMike, and his MD42 is not supporting either. Bit weak there by LimaOscarMike. Pioneers on the way. We got Take Up there though for him and the fatherland. Grenadiers was a conscript up close. Grenadiers they need to retreat. Overall, LimaOscarMike there is definitely committing, I think, a bit of a boo-boo there. Feel with the mount. He's just scattering across too far, and he doesn't actually have a good split footing to do from. I mean, again, he's too much focused in the center, but also wants to rush his opponent, and he's not really putting a lot of priority into his own fuel. So I really feel like this is not the sharpest play there for LimaOscarMike at the moment. I mean, he can always turn around, obviously, but I mean, for a start, it's definitely weak. And definitely, again, not what that sort of urge does of Wehrmacht. As Wehrmacht, again, you want to focus, you want some concentration, you want them to be able to support each other. And he's not really doing that. And again, his machine gun is very passive, very static. You're not trying, you know, to gain some sort of advantage there for the most part. So in that regard, he's not gaining an advantage anywhere. So he definitely needs to, I think, sort of add his machine gun a bit more. I mean, Wehrmacht dropped and emphasised the MD42, in particular the one actually sort of for heavy machine gun mode there, actually as more of an offensive weapon, like machine gun was sort of more of a defensive in a way, at least when it was on the tripod there. But ours was meant to set up to support and attack for the German infantry. Yet here, LimaOscarMike is only using it in a denied territory, which is not necessarily, you know, it's the best at. I mean, it's better supporting infantry on the move, yet LimaOscarMike there is just not using it there. And that tends to be sort of a flaw that some players can sort of tend to, again, they tend to use the machine gun as something that's supposed to be supporting rather than be supporting other elements. So that way you can sort of end up with some weird things there. It was a surprisingly also common mistake that in companies run from a lot of even high-ranking Wehrmacht players that just use the machine guns incredibly statically. I mean, that'd be sort of a different breeds of Wehrmacht player, but again, there was just a certain group that just insisted on using the machine guns not very actively. And of course, sometimes they could pull through depending on their opponents as well. But like most of the more aggressive, sharper fruit opponents, it tends to sort of run into some issues. He's slightly moving the machine gun more, but again, he's being very cautious with it, obviously. I mean, he doesn't want to make any mistakes, but at the same time, I feel like he could be pressuring Barbarossa more with it. Big push up. He needs to get back to defending him, and he saw this force advancing, so he needs to set up for it. Pioneers being about there, no S-mines. MD42 back in action. This time we can see sort of, you know, machine guns being handled more actively here by LimaOscarMike. You can see that that's working out a lot better now. Of course, Barbarossa just keeps attacking, keeps punching, and just also, very importantly, he doesn't just, you know, blob it up and just hit him with one big ball. He's very quick to scatter out and try to attack from different angles against LimaOscarMike. But here goes from Mechanized Assault. So we got the first docks near close to the 10-minute mark from LimaOscarMike. And he goes for the Assault Grenadiers. A very interesting, peculiar choice a bit there as well. I mean, there's all the infantry. You actually got a conscript warp there. So obviously, again, LimaOscarMike is not doing entirely poorly. But again, I would have to describe it as a weak start. And obviously, again, you can get back from those. You sort of handle units properly and actually get some wipes. You can sort of get back from it, but he's actually in a bit of trouble because Barbarossa is basically taking this great start he had and he's just pushing it as far as he can. He's going straight for the tanks, and again, that's, you know, one of the third advantages. You can just push for meeting tanks really fast if you know what you're doing. And that's clearly here what Barbarossa is doing. He's just going to push for the T-3476 as fast as possible. He's going to push for something that's going to be hard for LimaOscarMike to just counter. I mean, a T-70 can be disabled artillery mine, other bits there. But the T-3476 is going to be a lot harder for LimaOscarMike to deal with, plus it's also in some ways a lot more impactful. In particular, again, you're not ready for it, it just offers a lot more bang for your buck. assault. Is that wiping out a counter squad? So in that regard, again, you can sort of see, you know, there's some slight momentum here for LimaOscarMike. Again, his opponent is investing a ton of resources into tech, and that's basically, you know, where LimaOscarMike is starting to hit back and actually gain back some ground and, you know, sort of slightly rectify the situation. He's actually getting several wipes there against Barbarossa, while again he has suffered none. So there are some possibilities here for LimaOscarMike. It's not, you know, GG yet, but again, weak start, undeniably weak start. But again, you can't get back from those, and he's clearly on the way, and Barbarossa's bar is now also going for anti-infantry tactics. This is going to be a bit tricky here for LimaOscarMike and this MDA Sturm Division, but again, it is very infantry heavy, again, very sort of heavy weapons oriented, well, infantry oriented with a lot of support weapons and other things, and just fire a lot of bullets. Need to get the assault guns up to support here. Also, I think to try and keep a distance here from the assault units, trying to get the assault guns in to flash them out with grenades or something else. He's not moving them, he seems to have forgotten them. That feels definitely unfortunate there for LimaOscarMike. Great for Barbarossa because he doesn't have to worry about the assault guns suddenly closing in with a lot of grenades. There we go, he's finally got them on the move. Machine gun trying to advance further, but it's keeping to the church. Flamethrowers moving up again. It's making it hard here for LimaOscarMike to use the structures because of all the flamethrowers that Barbarossa has. And there you go, flank up there, quickly halted by the MD-42, the Grenadiers. Needs to suppress the engineers there, at the same time risk being assaulted from here. Need to use the assault gunners here to sort of try and keep the assault units away from that. But even then, there might be problems thanks to the incendiary artillery barrage. So right now, Barbarossa has a lot of threats. You can see that LimaOscarMike is actually taking here for the lack of Mechanized Corps, moving ahead for tier 3 because, and this is very important, also I'll try to slow down here, just realised I'm talking too fast, but right now LimaOscarMike realises tier 3 rush is not working out well at all because again he focused on the wrong thing. I mean, a tier 3 rush means you have to focus on the fuel, you have to focus on the resources, that way pushing it, but again LimaOscarMike did the inverse. Again, he, you know, to an extent makes the mistake a lot of players do, which again they try to rush, they try to go for the tanks fast, but they sort of forget they have to support it with a lot of fuel. That's basically where things went all derailed here for LimaOscarMike. Well, he's got a lot of troops, which is important. Again, he does not have the infrastructure, the logistics to actually pull it off at the moment. So you have realised he has to take back for packs, even as he's pushing for the medium armour, because otherwise he's just going to get wiped off the field by the tanks once they hit him. You can see again, Barbarossa very consistently just hits here, and LimaOscarMike has yet to really do much to defend it seriously. Got a medic bunker up there. Grenadiers on the way there as well. You can build the Sturm Corps. Problem is his pioneers all the way up here. Reminds me, we got air support here from Barbarossa, specifically recon overflight, looking to survey the field, spot the fascists and attack. And of course, if they got any anti-tank guns, and with this Barbarossa, I mean, he's got a pretty clear idea of the state of LimaOscarMike's force. Again, he's got a lot of infantry, which means he's got the advantage there with Barbarossa, but he has got pretty much no immediate way of stopping the tank. I mean, he's not going to get threatened by a tank anytime soon. And there's no anti-tank guns either, so that means the T-34 will have quite a bit of freedom there until anything happens. So this is some really just solid play from Barbarossa. I mean, as soon as his tanks hit, he immediately says about ensuring, well, where can I drive my tank safely? That is just amazing play from Barbarossa. Amazing play. I mean, this is, you know, again, high-ranked solo play, but also just, you know, not the usual, which I'm sure will be exciting to some players, just, you know, not the usual penal triple spam. At least for some, again, it just feels like that's all you get from the surge. But again, Barbarossa highlights you can definitely do a lot more with the surge. It's just, again, you can just go for the penal triple spams and just, you know, it works pretty damn well. So pushing up the eastern side again, LimaOscarMike clearly not out of the fight, but there you go. Forced to go for the Pack 40. Needs to get the Grenadiers out there before they're wiped. The T-34-76, and there's a definite likelihood they could be wiped. The T-34, by the way, has pretty amazing machine guns, which is very good at wiping infantry if you're not careful. Plus the main gun there landed an excellent hit, wiping out the Grenadiers. Pack 40 almost done for LimaOscarMike, but he's quick losing ground, and his pioneers are not setting up the Sturm Corps, which should be his priority as soon as he gets out the pack. More mines being laid down here. Barbarossa, they're consistently mining up the map there. I mean, you can sort of notice there, as soon as he gains grounds, he mines it. And he really just wants to make it difficult for LimaOscarMike. So Barbarossa here, besides, you know, being certainly not by the meta at all, which makes him hard to predict, which is also an advantage, he's also very consistent in his actions. It's also a pretty good skill to have, just consistency in certain moments, like just laying down mines, because that's, you know, one of the bits there where some players tend to struggle with consistency. They'll be like, you know, great with mines like the first 2 minutes, and then they forget about them. The assault grenadiers are still having an impact. Some people tend to underestimate the assault grenadiers, but if you can get them close, they do tend to pack a punch. But again, they do quite a bit more work, and they also require remembers to use sprint, which most players tend not to. So LimaOscarMike is still getting some good beatings versus Barbarossa, but the problem is, again, he just flopped the early game hard, and his tier 3 rush has completely fallen apart. So he's struggling to actually get where he wants to be, which is where the Panzer IVs and the Stugs, and his opponent's already about to hit with another T-34-6. So LimaOscarMike there needs to prioritise getting that support crop and needs to rush out a Stuki. I mean, a Panzer IV, I think at the moment is going to be completely out of the picture for LimaOscarMike and the 78 Sturm Division. Another T-34-6 on the way. 24-2 does the counter start there. Grenadiers advancing. Eastern victory point having seized by Barbarossa. So advanced. T-34 falling back. Good hit. Panzer fast as well. They almost got the T-34-6. That's definitely looking promising there for LimaOscarMike and the 78 Sturm Division. But he still needs a support corps. And there you go. Covers the T-34's retreat with field propaganda artillery. Very good usage there. Very good usage. This is a man who knows why he chose this doctrine. He's not called in his shock troops. They could also be quite effective here. Anything else, but I mean, just these two abilities certainly still rarely utilised, and then seeing them used is pretty damn amazing. So thumbs up there to Barbarossa, who's now got his second T-34 out. LimaOscarMike still not going for it. I hope he's not playing for the Tiger, because that's going to be too late there. Now he's going for Panzer Grenadiers. I mean, normally I'd be all for it, but his situation really requires armour, like Stugs or Panzer IVs, but preferably Stugs because it's going to be faster here. Panzer Grenadiers, I feel like, is not what is at all needed here for LimaOscarMike. Again, it needs to be armour. It needs to be something that can actually threaten Barbarossa's tanks on a more, aggressive basis. So there definitely needs to be, I think, a change in approach there from LimaOscarMike soon. Got the Pack 4 sitting up. They might be able to get off the Panzer fast here as the T-34-76 as it rolls back, avoiding the threatening Grenadiers. In East, we've got Grenadiers in conscripts there, taking some losses there. I mean, again, the infantry front is where LimaOscarMike is winning. The problem is he hasn't again been able to turn into actual fuel advantage and then use that fuel advantage in attack to get out tanks. So again, he's struggling here. He's struggling. Another hit then the T-34-76. Small chance of getting a wipe. They need support though. Support corps finally going up. He actually counts the Panzers just in the nick of time. Might be able to get the T-34, but yeah, his Pack 4 is being swarmed by conscripts. Grenadiers wiped. Another infantry loss there for LimaOscarMike. Calling in artillery here around the Pack 40 just to deny it to Barbarossa. That is definitely one way of doing it. That is definitely one way of doing it. And there you go, the support corps ready. He can rush through Stug there. Goes to the Panzer IV. I would have preferred the Stug just faster, cheaper. Can get another one faster as well. That way you can sort of just build up something as a counterweight to the T-34-76s. But instead he goes to the Panzer IV. Obviously helps us the infantry more, but it's not exactly the infantry. There's a big problem there for LimaOscarMike. It's the T-34s. But there you go, another T-34 on the way there for Barbarossa and the third Mechanized Corps. That's the third, right? But certainly putting his tanks and his infantry to good use alongside his doctrine. LimaOscarMike gaining some ground here in the east, but overall he's lost a lot of infantry now. Several Grenadiers got scorned, certainly annihilating whatever advantage he had there versus Barbarossa, as he's now just again bringing out many more tanks. And again, by the time LimaOscarMike has one Panzer IV out, Barbarossa soon going to have 3 T-34s. So again, there definitely needs to be a bit of work there, I think, from LimaOscarMike there in several elements. In particular, in just prioritization of resources like fuel. I mean, your Panzers aren't going to go anywhere with fuel without it, so I'm a bit surprised again they didn't prioritize it. Yeah, assault those engineers again should be able to do some good work, but the Panzer forming ahead there. T-34 on its own should be an easy target. The Pro wasn't expecting that fast, of course. They are mines. Oh, Scheiße! Nice shooting off it. Yeah, it's sap as a mine. Don't care, just kill it. So there we go, going after the T-34. They need to be careful about driving over your own mines, by the way. One T-34 down. That's a big win there for LimaOscarMike. That is a big win. That was practically a free kill there on the T-34 from 16 team. They're converging. Going after the Panzer IV there. Pioneers need to be careful though. Eastern fuel pump being threatened here by conscripts. Need to get something to deal with it. He can call in Panzer Grenadiers now. He could go for assault grenadiers more. I mean, without any real veterancy here though. Well, more specifically any upgrades for the conscripts, anything more seriously, the assault guns could work out nicely. But it looks like another unit bit the dust as the Pioneers. LimaOscarMike in a lot of trouble. Need to retreat the Grenadiers. He can't afford any more infantry losses. He definitely needs to be careful about that. He also needs to be careful with his Panzer IV, so he's moving about without support. But I'm thinking setting up for the Stug now, so that way he increases chance of dealing there with Barbarossa's armor, who's actually floating a lot of manpower. He could easily afford caches, more infantry, or a lot of other things. Need to get the MD-42 out of there before it's too late, though. Assault was there dealing with the troops. 13 kills, not bad, but need to get away with it from the T-34-76. Got the Panther, then getting the T-34-76. Machine gun wiped. Another hit, now that T-34's going to go down. Oh, there you go, hoorah! He doesn't actually have anti-tank grenades researched. It's actually a bluff in this case. It does seem like LimaOscarMike either accidentally didn't buy it or whatever, but he didn't get anti-tank grenaded. Rushing for the MD-42, Russian gears pouring forwards. Grenadiers, pioneers, and where we got the assault guns on the run from the T-34-76. Engineers, they're forced away. Panzer IV very close to Veteran 2-1. And soon he'll have the Stug 3G there to challenge Barbarossa, who still, I feel, is feeling a bit too much manpower there than I'm comfortable with. Even if he's got a good position, you know, you generally want to reinforce it, not just, you know, let it sit on its thumbs. Need to be careful of that place there. It's increasingly looking structurally weak, and there's engineers going up there. Fixing out the Panzer IV. Stug around as well here for the LimaOscarMike. Should give him a better chance of getting back into the fight here versus Barbarossa. Comes the move versus the Panzer IV. Stug moving in, advancing furiously for the fatherland. Needs to get to the front line to save the day. Don't worry, Otto. They're gonna be heroes. Just hit the Russians and we will be heroes. But there you go, Russians too far ahead. T-34's flanking in. Panzer IV shot bounces off the 45mm of sloped armor. But technically this gun he could actually use to penetrate from like 1,000 meters of farther away. Fun fact there, it was only like the early Panzer IVs which struggled with penetrating the front line of the T-34-76, but as soon as they increased the velocity, the T-34-76's armor advantage dropped drastically. There we go, almost got a T-34-76, he's pushing up with his armor, he still needs to get infantry out, they should probably consider some assault guns just to get something up fast, but there you go, now the T-34 down, now LimaOscarMike there has the armor advantage, but his infantry-wise, he's struggling there. So right here we got a full retreat there from Barbarossa. Closing there to 2 then the Panzer IV, 6 kills for the fatherland as he just keeps murdering those Russians as they retreat. Troops moving ahead here, he still needs more infantry. That really should be the priority right now for LimaOscarMike, more infantry. Panzer Grenadiers, assault gunners I think would be the better choices there for LimaOscarMike. Instead he's going for another MD-42 to that way control the infantry, which is not bad, but he needs to be able to push more right now. I mean, he's barely got any map that is, you know, worth defending with machine guns, and again, if he was more aggressive with machine guns, I'd say great, but again, as we've seen here, LimaOscarMike's machine gun play is on the more passive side, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense for him to again go for another machine gun there, in my opinion. There you go, quick rush here with the assault guns in the east, going for the conscripts up there. If he doesn't realize what's going on, there's going to be a wipe there. As you can notice again, they can do a lot of damage very fast, and in fact, getting there close quickly free. Panzer IV dealing with the Russians in the centre. Fixing up the Stug. Getting the victory point back there. He's certainly far behind Barbarossa. Is now going for the H-85 tank destroyer to that way hunt down the Fascisti. Troops standing about. Healing. Stug good to go. With the T-34-76 they're rolling out. 28 kills. Vetsi 2. That T-34 has definitely done Barbarossa well. And they're going to gain the machine gun there. Need to get some armor support up there. Schnell. But we'll have to see if LimaOscarMike can actually get there in time. And we got into the up support plus a field gun. Very good work there by Barbarossa. Very good work. Assault gunners just need to retreat now. We should not try to grab the point though right in front of the T-34 and there you go, retreat. But that could have been easily been a wipe there against LimaOscarMike. That was really pushing his light there, I think, more than is sensible. Going for the T-34, next step, Panzer engaging. Stug arriving, bet you 2 need to get moving. Blitz, blitz. Ah, too slow there, too slow. Almost got the T-34-76. Bit dangerous around the move. Shoot. Certainly lowers the accuracy, though, of course, it does the same on the T-34-76. Just needs to get out of there now. Need to get out of there. Also needs to get the Stug out of this. Is pretty risky for LimaOscarMike. He still hasn't got up one for support. Again, he's rushing his tanks, and there you go, knocked out by the HE-5 tank destroyer. T-34 still alive, so this did not work out well there for LimaOscarMike. I mean, had he just had a single infantry squad here to support, he could have cleared out the field gun pretty easily and even stolen it and turned it against Barbarossa. But the Grenadiers arrived much too late here for LimaOscarMike to really turn the situation. There you go, Colts in, propaganda artillery on the Grenadiers, I think. Yes, indeed, to try and force them retreat. They do get the field gun, but they can't seize it and turn it against Barbarossa. So there we go again, saved here by anti-infantry doctrine. Very good work there by Barbarossa. Waste of the Panzer IV here though by LimaOscarMike. Definite shame. Need to get that T-34 repaired, but the engineers are all at the front line, so he's just moving up where the engineers are to fix it up. Down to a single Stuke here for LimaOscarMike. He's going to need another one. He's going for a Pack 40 as well. Not bad, but I would also like to see some more Panzer Grenadiers again to deal with the infantry. There you go, machine gun turning up, bit to let their contracts rushing forward. So no Molotovs though. Instead, he's calling in the incendiary artillery here on the church with the machine gun in it. And he doesn't realise it's until it's too late. Yes, the entire church gets turned into an inferno. Harassing the fuel point there more directly this time around, not just the core point. Church is now basically just blazing. Looks very nice by the way, these burning effects. Very nice. Actually did those pretty well. T-34 they were hunting down the assault gunners. Again, the lack of armor support, he kind of sort of had mostly blown away there, is hurting LimaOscarMike. Constantly moving down here straight into the Grenadiers. They're being gutted and sent running. MD-42 there getting close to reaching the feet. 33 kills there for the motherland. Stuke there, number 2 on the way for LimaOscarMike. Pretty much predictable he's going to go for it. Pretty much predictable. It's really his only chance here, his only choice really. Ostwinds and Panzer IVs at the moment are, clearly not on the table because he does not have the resources. He's continuing to split up his forces. We got another fear propaganda artillery again just to make it harder for LimaOscarMike to push ahead there. He's really using this fear propaganda artillery great. I mean, it's just so rare you get to see it used, and then we get Barbarossa who just uses it splendorously. Stuke finally being repaired. They could have been that sooner. MD-42 storming the engineer squads there. Need to get the other MD-42 support here, but the Pack 44, the T-34 annihilates it in a shower of blood and violence. Right now, Barbarossa and the 3rd Mechanized Corps is back in control here versus the Germans. The 2nd Stuke arriving here to support the first one. Consul is grabbing the point here, the munitions. Got the HE-5 moving up for Barbarossa. We got the T-34 sitting out there as well. Setting up for what looks to be a base raid here. Noting again, another bit of air reconnaissance again. Quickly sets up there before the assault to figure out where can you attack best and sort of strike with the most force. Good play there. Very good play by Barbarossa. Very good play. In this case, again, he realizes where the flanks are, the exposed flanks, and he just guides his tanks straight towards it. Absolutely vicious stuff here. A tank destroyed, then a tank from the other side. There you go, Pack 40 on top. That's going to quickly get focused down by the 2 T-34s there again, including 1 ace. He's calling in fear propaganda to me in the meanwhile as well. Around the area here, T-34s crossing infantry. H5 going straight for the Stuke 3 Jeep. It's going to get knocked out here. I need to get the Stuke there veterancy. Bit more chaotic here. Incendiary artillery called down as well. Catching more of his own infantry than anything by accident. Pack 40 for once not retreated here, but that's the thing. Fear propaganda artillery can actually force an anti-tank gun to retreat. It's like the only thing in the game that can. But there you go, just continue pushing on with his infantry. Got more assault grenades on the way for LimaOscarMike. Finally, just, it's too late here, I feel. Comes there, just charging the machine gun there, getting suppressed up close. I'm getting pinned here. So there should be a chance here. Still pretty risky there. Packs, Stuke's being swarmed here. T-34 swinging in. We got the ace there. Stuke with a damaged engine. Veteran 2. But just knocked out there by the ace, the hero of the Soviet Union. Order of Leningrad. You name it. He's got it. Or they got it. 38 kills on the T-34. LimaOscarMike's lines are in complete disarray as the T-34 just weaves through it like a Bolshevik dervish. A Marxist madman. Just tearing through LimaOscarMike's lines like a hot knife through butter. And there's not really much LimaOscarMike can do anymore here versus Barbarossa. He's going for another T-34, but there we go. Got 43 kills on that T-34 from 60. Certainly proving just how lethal a T-34 from 6 can be in the right hands. And of course, again, just also the value of just being aggressive. And of course, reconnaissance. I mean, they just attacked maybe straight head on. He probably wouldn't have done that so well, but because, again, he knew where to strike because of the air reconnaissance. I mean, his opponent just had less options for defending against it. And with this, I think it's safe to say GG here between LimaOscarMike and Barbarossa. Losses there inflicted, damage ending the T-34. 50 kills! 50 kills on a T-34, 76. Have you ever seen that before? I don't think I have. 50 kills. That's the normal stuff you sort of see in like Obersoldaten, King Tiger, or, you know, Panzergrenadiers, maybe a Panzer IV with some good luck, but a T-34? It's bonkers. At this point, LimaOscarMike has very much lost. And obviously a bunch of it's just done against that weak start. Again, he could have recovered from it and been more aggressive, but again, LimaOscarMike sort of just consistently, you know, played like, you know, how most Wehrmacht players do. The problem is, of course, against those a very high-ranked player who actually knows his stuff, that's not going to help you a lot. And that's sort of the problem here for LimaOscarMike. Again, he's competent, but he's clearly sort of lacking some of the, you know, skills needed to really be in the top 100 of Wehrmacht, and that includes using machine guns a lot more actively. Had he done that, I think he'd easily had a much stronger early game versus Barbarossa, rather again what he had. He should also focus more on the fuel. Again, it's a big mistake, and in particular one a lot of Wehrmacht players consistently make on unarmed checkpoint. They will always, you know, go for the center, like it's somehow, you know, that will, you know, attract all the fuel points to them rather than you having to go out and grab them. That's definitely one thing that also hurt LimaOscarMike. It allowed Barbarossa just, you know, at the 10-minute mark begin pushing out tanks, whereas again LimaOscarMike, again, despite trying to rush for it, never apparently considered it. Again, that's sort of the weird thing. Again, I mean, you get these tier 3 rushers who apparently just, they get the build order, but what they don't get is it's also important to actually have the fuel and then actually tech, you know, fast. So that was sort of also the problem there for LimaOscarMike. Follow up with the assault gunners and a few more, perhaps some Panzers again, I think could have more impact in the early game. So mines in there, I mean, that's also one mistake there. I mean, his opponent had a lot of engineers with flamethrowers, but no minesweepers. Mines in the right places could have done a lot for LimaOscarMike against Barbarossa at times. But overall, he should have had a more focused start, more focused around the fuel point. He should have concentrated less in the center. And he shouldn't have certainly better replaced his infantry. I mean, he made some good moves here and there. Again, he got some wipes in. He did at times push back Barbarossa, but again, he just sort of consistently stuck to a very rigid mindset, which again is sort of like meta, and you know will help. There's a lot of weaker allied players because again they will also very much be in a rigid mindset players, but again versus a much more fluid, aggressive, and dynamic player like Barbarossa, it obviously doesn't work. And you know, again, I just want to highlight again, you can play the certain, I think, pretty, you know, aggressive manner without having to realize, you know, on a lot of conscripts, just, you know, mix of units. And just, you know, do a lot of damage. I mean, really, this is just amazing play there from Barbarossa. And again, also great use of recon, overflight, and field propaganda artillery. I mean, this was just overall sterling serve play, certainly showing again a high-ranked serve play and what he can do if he wants to. So, you know, thumbs up there to Barbarossa. And again, for LimaOscarMike, despite, you know, being 110 there, you know, clearly needs to work his machine gun over again. Needs to remember, don't focus on the center of the map too much. Again, for the Wehrmacht, fuel is a priority. In particular, if you're rushing for T3, you definitely want the fuel points. I mean, that one still, you know, has me a bit confused there. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. If not, send in a replay. I'll be on to provide some feedback in the comment section. And of course, a big thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, with which, of course, their support this episode would not be possible at all. And if you'd like to support me, links in the video description. Any bit helps me out a lot, you know, since I do try to do this for a living. So even $1, or I don't know, 1,000, but that's not likely, obviously, you know, can do a lot for me, you know, to pay for food, rents, and other bits. So, you know, consider that. This is Imperial Dane signing off, and see you all tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye.